All right. Vanderbilt makes history, crushing the Vols 45-24. 10th game, win the 10th game for the first time in program history. Diego Pavia, Sedrick Alexander have a huge night. College Football Playoff Committee. Hope you guys were watching. We're live. Let's get in it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday evening. We are live here on the Locked On Vandy podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the world. Tonight, we're going to talk all about this thrashing of Tennessee in Neyland. Vanderbilt picking up their 10th win with a 45-24 thrashing of the Vols in Knoxville, their 10th regular season victory for the first time in program history. Hope the playoff committee is taking notice. Hope the Heisman committee and the Heisman voters are taking notice. I hope everybody in the college football world is taking notice because Vanderbilt is here, and that was an exciting game. Like I said, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to the Everydayers Club. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Man, where do we start? Because, man, that game was everything you wanted in a football game. And it was one of those where you're watching it and it's going exactly as you think it's going to go in a game against a Josh Heupel coached Tennessee team, where it's back and forth, explosive plays here, explosive plays there, and a game that turns into a track meet. And this, for Vanderbilt, this is what they were able to do. They were able to finally keep up with it and then take over in the second half. And that's kind of where it unraveled for Tennessee, because it just felt like all the air was right there before halftime when Vanderbilt tied it up with 13 seconds left. It just seemed like all the air out of Neyland just evaporated. All the air from the Tennessee sideline just went out of the building, and Vanderbilt was able to take over. Vanderbilt was the more physical team. They were the more dominant team. They were the more poised team, and they just made all the plays. You saw those 2-3 yard runs as the game wore on became 6, 7, 8 yard runs, and then by the end of the night it was 20, 30, touchdown, and it just became those big chunk runs that really put the game out of reach for Vanderbilt. And that's one of the things that this offense, they got back to their roots. Like this was the second half of the season Vanderbilt offense. Dominant, explosive, but got back to their roots a little bit in being able to run the ball. Pavia didn't have as big of an impact throwing the ball. And I say only 268 yards passing. He did have 2 interceptions, and he did have a touchdown pass, but his impact mostly was on the ground with 159 carries, or 165 yards, I should say, on about, I think, 15 carries or so. Let's look at the tail of the tape here. Here's, like I said, your final score, 45-25. I nailed the 45. I thought Tennessee was going to have more, but they didn't. Diego Pavia, 20 carries, 165, and a touchdown. He had that. The touchdown was that 41-yard run. Sedrick Alexander, 10 carries, 115 for 3 touchdowns with a long of 39. 18 of 28 passing for Diego, 268 with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. We'll get to those interceptions here in a second. Junior Sherrill, 3 catches, 76. You had Trey Richardson, 6 catches for 75 and a touchdown. Eli Stowers, 5 catches, 64 yards, and then on down the list. So, man, it was again, it was one of those type games, and here's my reaction to it. It was one of those type games overall for the people on the audio side later on. Overall, Vanderbilt you couldn't ask for a better response to the environment at Neyland, because that place is a cauldron, to say the least. And that is a place where a team can come in and just be totally wiped off the map because the crowd is, I mean, it's a bowl, it's vertical, it's loud, it's hostile, it's rowdy, it's everything you don't want as a visitor. But Vanderbilt just came in, blinders on, they took over the game, and that was that. So it was a statement. It was a statement game for the committee. It was a statement game for this Vanderbilt program. Clark Lee signed a huge extension, six years. And with a lot of promises on facility upgrades and things like that, which they badly deserve and badly need. It just shows, this week has shown, and the result of this game is kind of like the cherry on top of everything. You had a university that finally committed to football, and we're going to see where this goes, right? We're going to see where this goes. This is going to be absolutely outstanding as far as commitment goes. It's only going to get better as time goes because of what they're doing. Omari Sanders from FRA committed. He's a 4-star linebacker, completely violent. I'll do a more in-depth breakdown of him next week, probably on Monday's episode. But man, this game was just through the roof, man. I mean, play after play after play, and there were some adverse situations that Vanderbilt defensively, there were some answers that they were getting gashed in the run game a little bit. Like Joey Aguilar was able to complete some passes, especially on third down. Like we thought this was going to be kind of another Texas game or another Alabama game where you get them into third and long consistently, and they just consistently get out of it. And in the first half, it was trending that way. They even took the lead. And at that point, the crowd was in a frenzy. And at that point, Tennessee could have taken momentum in the game. And they didn't. They never really grabbed control of that game. They had a chance right there late in the first half to gain control of that game. Vanderbilt gets a key stop and then drives it down for the tying touchdown. And then coming out of half, they kick the field goal to go up. Then they go up 10, and they just keep separating from there. And so this is kind of where this started back in January 24 when they hired Coach Steiner to do the training program and to get them mentally tough, to get them ready to be able to compete. And it took some time, and they had to have a full off season of training, and all of that just led right to this. All the practice, all the work, everything that Clark Lee built all came together today, and hopefully that was good enough for the committee. Not sure if it will be, but now there's nothing Vanderbilt can do, nothing more that they can do. Just hope that Auburn can, at the time that, well, this is live, so just hope that Auburn can claw back into this game and beat Alabama. That would do us some favors. LSU didn't do us any favors today. UCF had a chance to really get one on BYU. They didn't. Maybe Stanford. I haven't seen a score on that. But it's again, here we go, man. And again, I'm gonna get to y'all's comments in a little while. But man, this game was, again, a huge night for Pavia this time on the ground. Seti just had a massive night as well. Here's my reactions here. A statement was made, and history was made. Offense exploded again, putting up 45 points on the road, and not just any road environment. Probably one of the toughest road environments in the entire country. They had, again, here's the total stats: 582 yards, 268 through the air, 314 on the ground. Tennessee 382 yards, 299 and 82 on the ground. We'll get to the defensive side of it here in a little bit. But Sedrick Alexander, on 10 carries, 115 yards, scored 3 times, and just great execution. And I've got to give a shout out to the offensive line. I really do. I've got to give a shout out to the offensive line because they absolutely mauled Tennessee in the second half. They took this game over in the second half, or actually really right before halftime. Is kind of when you saw the tide turning a little bit, and you saw, okay, well, Vanderbilt might actually do this, and they might actually go. And this offensive line, they just kept feeding into that energy, and here we go. And it's unbelievable. And this right here shows you also that Vandy fans they're starting to come out of the woodwork a little bit too. So it is the toughest place to play in the country, and you go in there and put 45 on them and double them up, just about double them up. That's a pretty big deal if you think about it. Not a lot of teams do that, if hardly any. It's the reason why Tennessee has such a good home record most years. Although this year I think it was an anomaly because they lost half of their games at home. Oklahoma, they lost Vandy, and Alabama was on the road, and I forget who the other loss was. I think it was on the road too. But yeah, it was this game, incredible. Just big play after big play after big play. And Diego Pavia, he was starting to play hero ball at the beginning. I was a little worried. I was like, oh crap, here we go. That first interception, it was like, oh boy, this is going to be that type of game. But he calmed down and he learned. So we're going to continue on with the breakdown of this game. Going to continue on looking at the run game, looking at defense, looking at just kind of the overall impact of what's next for Vanderbilt and what this defense was able to do. What's next for Diego Pavia? Does he get an invite to New York City? Does he earn that? We'll see. But his resume is now finalized, and the voters have everything they need for Diego Pavia in place. So we'll see kind of what he does with that and what the voters do with that. We'll talk about all of that coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about Omaha Steaks. If you guys need a good gift this holiday season, you might want to tune in right now. You might want to listen. The holidays always feel a little easier when you already know you have the perfect gift, and Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge, man. And just think about it. If you've ever received Omaha Steaks before, it's not just steaks either. It's burgers, comfort meals, sides, desserts, like all kind of stuff. Like I get Omaha Steaks just about every year for a gift. And it's incredible. You get, they usually have these packages where you can it's like this gift box where it's like two cuts of steaks, some burgers, some hot dogs, some twice stuffed baked potatoes, and some like apple turnovers or, something along those lines. And man, it is a gift that truly fits anyone. And it's the kind of gift that brings people together because, hey, you get one of those special packs, especially if you get one of those larger ones. You have a family dinner, man, and it's all right there for you. You just open the box and prepare the food. You don't need to guess anyone's size either. You don't have to go, well, are you a double X? Are you an extra large? Or, did you gain some weight this year? All that good stuff. You don't have to worry about it. So save on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. All right, welcome back. Vandy crushes Tennessee 45-24 in Neyland Stadium for their 10th victory of the season, making history. First time in program history that Vanderbilt has had 10 regular season wins. Another huge night for Diego Pavia, 488 yards of total offense. And Sedrick Alexander, 115 on the ground with 3 touchdowns and just a dominant second half for Vanderbilt as they pretty much clear out the stadium. Is this a statement for the college football committee, the college football playoff committee? This is a statement. And this is one of those wins where you're like, okay, you didn't believe us. And now we had to go into Neyland and almost double up Tennessee. This has got to be the statement win. It has to be. You look at everything, and you look at all the resumes, and you stack up everybody. Vanderbilt belongs in that field. Truthfully, and to some, this may be a hot take. I don't care. I think they've got a better case than BYU. I think they've got a better case than Notre Dame. I think they could beat either one of those teams. Oklahoma's kind of limping in a little bit. I don't know about that. Alabama, I mean, they deserve to be in, but I hope Auburn helps us and takes care of that. But yeah, it's again, it's a statement win. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I just, again, it just seems silly to me that a team that finishes 10-2 in the SEC, and not just any team, a team that was 2 years ago, you flip those two numbers around. 2 years ago, they were 2-10, walking off that very same field. They collected their 10th loss 2 years ago. And now, the next time you step on that field, you collect your 10th win. And so it's just a lot has happened with this program and a lot with Clark Lee. He deserved that extension. Diego Pavia deserves to be in New York. There's nothing else I need to really say about that. I think his actions, his performances speak for themselves. His production speaks for itself. I think he's the best player in college football, honestly. And and that's no disrespect to Fernando Mendoza. That's no disrespect to Jeremiah Love. That's no disrespect to Julian Sayin, who had a big win at Michigan today. But Diego Pavia is a difference maker. And if it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at the best quarterback on the best team, Julian Sayin's probably your guy. If you're looking at, I think Mendoza and Diego Pavia are very, very similar in what they've done and what they've meant for their programs, because Indiana's kind of in the same boat as Vanderbilt, where you're like, what the? But again, Vanderbilt has had a tougher road. Vanderbilt had one of the toughest schedules coming into the season. And, you can't control the fact that, LSU sputters. South Carolina sputters and finishes 4-8. You can't help, because both of those teams are ranked. LSU was a playoff favorite at the beginning of the season. You can't help that. There's a lot of things, and Tennessee is a great team. Tennessee's probably the best 8-4 team in the country. They're a good team. I don't want to take anything away from Tennessee, but I mean, that was a game where Vanderbilt went in there and took that game from Tennessee. Because Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee played that poorly, honestly. I don't think they played poorly at all. Like, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm just saying, man, we just got our butts kicked. There's no ifs, ands, or there's no anything else about that. That Tennessee just got their butts handed to them tonight. And Vanderbilt earned that game. I don't think Tennessee played all that poorly. I think Tennessee did a really good job up until you could tell where their will to win, and just everything just kind of fell off a cliff there and took a nosedive. But they didn't play poorly. Like, I wouldn't say that Tennessee lost this game. Vanderbilt absolutely went out and won this game, and they had to. And they had to grind, and they had to punch and punch and punch and punch, and finally they delivered the knockout blow. But I mean, hats off to Tennessee. I still don't know how they lost to Oklahoma. Alabama, they were on a roll at that point, so that's understandable. And Vanderbilt just went in there and just punched them right in the mouth. And that's that's a scenario where they just ran into a buzzsaw, honestly. And Vanderbilt just absolutely went in there and earned that. And so when you look at defensively, I mean, this defensively, just look at the performance here for Vanderbilt. Like, early on, it was going to be, and I even said this to Eric Kane. I texted him. I said, hey, this is about to be defense optional here. This 45-42 point spread, this over is going to absolutely hit. And I think it did. I think it did hit. I think the over hit 45-24. That's 69 points, I think. So yeah, the over hit. The over under was 65, which is crazy. But it definitely hit. And I was like, man, this over is going to hit maybe in the first half. There's not much defense happening here. And he agreed, and he was surprised at the time. I texted him, it was 7-7. But this game to be 21-all at halftime was about where I expected this game to be, and is about where I expected this game to go. And for Vanderbilt's defense, they had a lot of things to kind of figure out at halftime, because Tennessee could have easily came out and just started clicking again, and they could have very easily came out and won this game because this game was not won yet. Vanderbilt had kind of seized a little bit of control of this game. They never let go after that, thankfully, but they hadn't had control of it yet. They march down, they kick a field goal, and they go up 3, and then they go up, they go up 7, and then they go up 10, and then Tennessee scores, they kick a field goal, get it back to within a touchdown, and you're like, okay, game on. And then Vanderbilt just took it from there, and they never relinquished it. And this defense was a huge part of that. They continued to be aggressive. They continued to get after Aguilar. They continued to contest catches. They continued to just physically beat Tennessee. And that's what happened. And so, I'm very proud of this team, very proud of this team all season, very proud of this team tonight, and very proud of this defense for being resilient and not giving up and not just folding and collapsing and things like that. Like, they fought and fought and fought and fought, and they eventually took over. This offensive line fought and fought and fought and took over. And Diego Pavia he bounced back from those 2 interceptions. It was a rough go early in the first half for him. Two big time interceptions. Tennessee got points off of them, and looked like Tennessee was firmly in control of the game at that point. And Vanderbilt just said no. But this is a really good game. And then it just wasn't all of a sudden. And, I don't think Tennessee is, like I said, I don't think Tennessee played extremely poor tonight. I don't think they played poorly at all. I think they just, it just fell apart for them, honestly. They couldn't control the line of scrimmage, especially on defense. And that's where it fell apart. And that's where Vanderbilt was able to take over. So I'm going to wrap up the show here. I'm going to get to some of your comments. I'm going to get to enjoy some of the feedback here. I'm going to get to bask in this victory, because all week I've been told that I'm going to go home disappointed. Vanderbilt's going to be 9-3. We still own you. You're a little brother and all that. I got all of those comments, and we're going to talk about that. Omari Sanders committed today. I'll touch on that just a little bit. I'll do a more deep dive analysis probably on Monday's episode, because probably, I think, one of the best recruits that Vanderbilt's ever landed at this point. Jared Curtis, if you watch this game, how could you not just say, hey, that's like a few miles down the road for me. Let me just go do my thing at Vanderbilt, and let me go be a superstar in the city where I'm from. Let me go rep the 615. Let me be Mr. 615. You would be a legend. Be stupid not to do that. Be crazy, right? Right? Anyway, we're going to talk about all that next. We're going to wrap up. All right, but I want to tell you about FanDuel. All right, it's still not too late to get in on some live game action here. Alabama is up on Auburn 17-3. Can Auburn fight and claw their way back in? I might jump in on some action on that just to kind of push that one along. But also, the NBA is back too, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. You can do some live game betting tonight. Do some live game betting tomorrow for NFL games. It keeps every game exciting, no matter what you're live betting on, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up today and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, we are closing in on the end of this show. We are closing in and wrapping up here. We're gonna put this one to bed. Now it's in the hands of the committee. Vanderbilt crushes Tennessee 45-24. Historic night for the Commodore program. Their 10th regular season win for the first time ever. Diego Pavia likely punched his ticket to New York. I don't know if he's going to win it, but I think you have to at this point. I think he makes the finalist list at worst case scenario. That's just the truth. But I just did an ad read and talked about FanDuel being the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Not to not to make this not to because I know this is a football episode and we're celebrating Vanderbilt destroying Tennessee, but have you guys seen the basketball program? Good God, they're scoring points in bunches. They rolled up St. Mary's. They said, you know what, St. Mary's, that was not cool what you did to us in March. We're just going to stuff you in a locker and we're going to beat the crap out of you. And that's what they did. And they won the Atlantis tournament. I don't know what it's called, but they won the Atlantis tournament. It's a pretty big deal tournament. A lot of good teams get invited to that, but Vanderbilt won it. They won some random tournament invitational thing last year. They're scoring points in bunches. It's going to be exciting when I finally can. I'm gonna pay a little more attention to basketball here as well. Give them a little more shine as we get closer to conference play in January. That's going to be a very exciting thing to talk about, Mark Byington and his bunch. But I just wanted to shout him out as well. Shout out the women's team. They won their tournament. Not sure what tournament that was. I'm not very keen on basketball right now. I'm not very laser focused on basketball, but I know they won a tournament, and that's a big deal too. And so shout out to the men's and women's basketball teams. They're collecting hardware. The soccer team is about to collect some hardware too. And it looks like things are on the up and up across the board for Vanderbilt athletics. Football's 10-2, looking at the playoffs going, let us in. Baseball, they just won the SEC last season. They're on deck. Hopefully they have a big season. Basketball has they have all the recipes there. The conditions are favorable. They're going to have a great season. I can't wait till conference play starts there. You're getting 4-star commits. And I think it's going to be a really big signing day for Clark Lee. I think it's going to be a really big portal season for Clark Lee. I think this team, like I said before, this program is on the rise. And I think you're going to see the results of that. And you're going to see the results of the commitment that Vanderbilt made to Clark Lee financially, with a 6-year contract, significant raise. And I think Chris Lee of Vandy 247 said something like $7 million a year or something like that, which is up from $3 million a year, $3.5 million a year, somewhere in that ballpark. But man, it's and they're doing facility upgrades. They're building a brand new McGugin Center, command center, indoor practice bubble, things like that. Like everything's going to be right there for the football team where they can just go and have their own space. Vanderbilt's acting like an SEC team now. They're acting like an SEC team. So whatever Clark Lee did to make this happen, and I know it wasn't all Clark Lee, because it's an organization, it's a team thing, and everyone had their part. Everyone played their role. Everyone contributed to this whole brand new Vandy, right? Brand new Vandy. Not same old Vandy. Brand new Vandy. So I'm excited to see what comes of this bowl season. Does Vandy make the playoffs? Do they make it? Well, they're going to make a really nice bowl if they don't. How does the transfer portal season look? How does signing day look next week? It's going to be all right there at your fingertips. It's going to be a fun off season, and you're going to have some basketball to look forward to and all that good stuff. So here's some comments. Let me go through the comments, man. You guys have been great, man. Yep. Jake, it's been a while, bud. But yeah, they just, Tennessee. That's what happens when you just get physically demoralized. That's what happened, man. Jake, I certainly appreciate you, man. You were on board early on. Maybe you come over to the dark side. I don't know. Seth, don't throw cold water on us yet, man. There's a chance. You need some help. There's a chance, right? Let's see. Tennessee gave up in the second half, plain and simple. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens when you just get physically beat down, man. Diego Pavia warned y'all all this year. Y'all ain't getting in. Even if you did, you'll lose bad. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you've seen this team play. They just pretty much doubled you up in your own house. So I don't know about losing bad. I don't think that's gonna happen. You lost a little bro. Well, I don't know if we're a little bro anymore. Paging Jared Curtis. There you go. Trey Richardson transferred to Tennessee. No, he shouldn't. Yep. There, he better be in New York. Yep, he better be in New York. I shouted you out again. This one doesn't get old. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the engagement. Appreciate all this stuff, man. I mean, Adam is right. Yeah. So anchor down. Yeah. So I just want to shout a few of you guys out before we ended the show. But before we wrap up, man, again, this was the season. I went on the Herb and Raj podcast like back in the summer, like sometime in August, like mid-August, and they asked me what my record was, and I kind of believed it, but I was I was being aggressive for entertainment purposes. And, I started to believe it anyway, but I was like, okay, I'm going to say something crazy here. And I threw out 10-2 and they're like, what? Yeah. 10-2. They said 8-4. Biscuits and SEC it was a combination between 5-7 and 4-8. That didn't happen, but I said 10-2. And I said, honestly, our losses are going to be, and I thought we would lose to, well, I think I called our losses too. I'll have to go back and listen. I know I said we'd lose to Bama, likely. I said if we lost, that would be one of them, and probably Texas. And then Tennessee's like a toss-up. LSU's a toss-up. It's kind of how I described it. And those would be like the swing games. Like those would be the difficult games that go either way. Nailed it. 10-2. So I'm happy about that one. Happy about this win. Happy about this season. I'm going to enjoy it because guess what? I can enjoy it up until next season starts, and then I'll enjoy that season. But I think Vanderbilt's going to be a program it's not going to be this peak and valley thing. It's going to be more even. Some years might be 8-4, 7-5, and some years might be 9. They're going to kind of they're steadily rising, and we'll kind of see how they respond next season. But and we'll see how they respond in the bowl game. But this is going to be a special team, special season, special program. And, I think a lot of people are going to get on board. I think Nashville there's slowly becoming some more V's around Nashville. And that's the way you got to do it. Nashville needs a team. Nashville needs a team that has its identity, and no better team to do that than Vanderbilt. So that's going to happen. But I'm gonna get out of here, but I'm gonna leave you with this. Vanderbilt crushes Tennessee 45-24. They made a massive statement tonight. Diego Pavia made a statement for the Heisman voters. This team made a statement for the College Football Playoff Committee. Now they have a decision to make. This is what you wanted. You just put it in the hands of the committee, and now we just got to accept whatever fate we're going to get. Is it the playoffs? Is it not the playoffs? Share your opinions. Who's your Heisman favorite? Share your opinions. Everybody, come on in. Who's your Heisman favorite? I mean, it's tough not to say Diego Pavia right now, but I think the odds makers are going to say Fernando Mendoza, but I don't know, man. This game just feels, for what Diego Pavia has done this season for this team and this program, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it, but I'll leave it with this. He's just been dominant all year. He took this team over. He took this program over and said, here, I'm going to put it on my back and carry it. Carried it to a bowl game last year. It was on the cusp of the college football playoff. Now it's in the hands of the committee. All right. Vanderbilt did their part. They finished 10-2. Right. Hopefully should have finished 11-1, but we'll see. But anyway, that's all I got. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. We'll get into December, hoping that the playoff committee has seen enough, and we'll say, okay, Vandy, you're in. Now go prove it. So until next time, thanks for stopping by. Anchor down. Peace.